Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us at the Product Marketing Festival. Before we start this session, we just wanted to give a big shout out to all of our sponsors, partners, and festival attendees for helping us make this happen. Don't forget to check out our AMA site, both during and after the festival. We've got lots of speakers taking questions after their talks. Enjoy the session.
Your customers are your best spokespeople, so you want to make sure your prospects hear what they have to say. After all, trusted endorsements can drive faster sales cycles and boost marketing conversions, which helps you unlock faster growth. But when it comes to going on the record, even your best customers can go silent, and who can blame them? Partnering on case studies is time-consuming, and it's painful to work through the legal approvals often required. Luckily, there's another way. With Tech Validate by SurveyMonkey, you can easily capture feedback from satisfied customers and transform it into powerful content, like verified case studies, testimonials, and reviews. Want charts that show ROI, cost savings, or competitive differentiation? You got it. With our platform, you'll quickly build an arsenal of highly targeted social proof points, segmented by industry, company size, or buyer persona. You'll get the tools to easily deploy your new customer evidence into top marketing channels and put it in front of your sales team to share with prospects. Plus, there's no need to wait for legal for approvals. With Tech Validate, your customers can opt to share their name or provide testimonials anonymously, with all customer evidence validated by a trusted third party. That's why hundreds of companies, big and small, use Tech Validate to get social proof at scale. Ready to see how it works? Watch our product tour today.
So we're going to try to keep this fun and informative and also interactive. I'm going to ask you some questions. Again, my name is Joe Andrews, and I'm here to talk about using customer segmentation to help with your go-to-market strategy. Now, go-to-market strategy means different things to different people. Here, we're talking specifically about what market segments you go after to help drive revenue and to help win as a company. Now, my experience has been primarily in B2B, so I'm going to focus on B2B, but there are some elements here that you can apply to B2C as well. Just a show of hands, who's B2B focused primarily? Okay, most of you. Remainder B2C. So a little bit about me. I loved Jivan's storytelling presentation. I consider myself a storyteller, and I focus on those skills as well because I think that's so important in terms of being a part of the product marketing mix. I've really spent the last almost 20 years doing product marketing at some of these companies, Intuit, VMware, Zora, and currently at InsideView. And InsideView, for those not familiar, is a B2B intelligence company that helps other companies be more focused and targeted in their go-to-market approach. Which is a good topic for today's conversation. Now, I will try to refrain from this being an InsideView infomercial, but I'm going to draw examples from our own experience as well as from those that we've learned from our own customers. So I have a lot of passion for data and AI is the newest buzzword, but there is a very pragmatic way of bringing data in, both your own first-party data and third-party data to help you understand your market and be better about making decisions. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If anyone is on social, would love some retweets or tweets if folks are doing that currently. So the topics that we're going to cover are, first, the case for change. This is about how do you focus or decide on what you want to change? And then often that involves getting support and alignment from others within the organization. I'll talk about the 4 tips or four pieces of advice for how to sharpen your go-to-market focus. And then we'll talk about the metrics, or what does success look like. First, the case for change. And really the question here is what you're doing today, the status quo, working for you? And if not, what are the things that you want to improve upon? Again, we're talking about specifically how you target, how you make decisions about the market segments to go after, and in the case of B2B companies, what accounts you go after. There's a big trend I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with account-based marketing, but when I started out in the marketing world, it was all about volume. The traditional funnel, you think of leads. These are people who raise their hand, but how do we know that they're a good fit for what you have to sell? That process used to be done further downstream. Now we're talking about flipping that and making it clear up front that we are proactively targeting the best opportunities for what we have to sell. So that's what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to bring in some market trends to help you make that case for change. So this is how the story typically goes. There are stakeholders in the business who are asking different questions. Product marketing is often the champion or the quarterback or arbiter of these questions in the organization, at least at the highest level of strategy. There's a session after lunch that's going to talk about how to make product marketing more strategic. But typically you have heads of marketing who are asking, who's my ideal customer or client profile? And what market segments should I go after and target? That's what we're going to talk about today. Heads of sales asking, are we maximizing win rates and deal size to hit our quota? Because there's a lot of variables that go into that. And heads of finance asking, are we getting the right customers? Especially now with the prevalence of SaaS and subscription businesses, the right customers are going to be ones that you have for a long time and that are profitable to the business. And CEOs, especially of emerging companies, are asking questions like, how are we doing at customer acquisition cost, payback period, customer lifetime value, et cetera. So these are all metrics that are important to the business. And business leaders are fundamentally asking these questions as a way to drive success and growth in the business. And so the question for us, fundamentally as product marketers, is to help the business decide what are the key go-to-market questions for our teams, for our companies that we need to answer. Now, who's familiar with the demand waterfall? Almost everyone? About half the audience? Okay. If you are not familiar with Serious Decisions, I suggest you check them out. They have great resources for really every role in marketing. They're focused primarily on B2B, but this demand waterfall has been a framework that they've been publishing for many years for demand gen teams. And it follows the different stages of the marketing and sales process. They recently added a layer called target demand. Now this is also known as TAM, or total addressable market. Now for those of us who've been in product marketing for a while, we recognize TAM as typically an investment function or a finance function to justify what the dollar value is of the total market that we're going after. But where TAM is now being used by product marketing and the rest of the organization is to look at how many units, and units is defined by a customer opportunity or a prospect, are out there that match what we do today. And that's our realistic target to go after. So this is really critical to understand as product marketers. We asked the market, Inside View did a survey, how accurate is your organization's measurement of total addressable market? Just a quick show of hands, who does this? Who measures TAM on a regular basis, like every year? Okay, a few of you. How about like ad hoc? Maybe once every few years, okay. How many have never done it? Okay, a few more. That kind of looks like our market. So more than half of companies say they do zero or ad hoc target measurement today. And less than half assess it annually or regularly. Our prescriptive advice is to start doing this more regularly. And that's one of our core tenets of how to be more effective at go-to-market planning. We'll talk about how to do that. And this is you've heard of red world, green world. Green world is, what do you imagine an ideal state to be for your company, for your market, for your business? And we like to say, imagine a mature, fully aligned go-to-market engine. And this is a world where your executives that you're supporting have instant access to the market information to discover and understand new markets. And your sales and marketing teams, these are the execution engine that drives revenue, fully informed and aligned to execute. Everyone in the organization has visibility into market performance to fine tune and optimize and make decisions based on data. So how do we get there? This is a super big eye chart, and I'm not going to click into this for the sake of time, but we also did a go-to-market maturity study. And you can download this from InsideView's website. But it basically looked at the different stages of go-to-market maturity, and it looked at the components that were in each stage, and it assessed that more than half the market is in this early stage of go-to-market maturity, kind of like what we saw from the hand raise show here. So the goal is, how do we get up to a more targeted approach? And furthermore, we aligned in the survey the go-to-market maturity with revenue performance. And far and away, the companies that exceed revenue goals are a lot more likely to be aligned, which means they're coordinated in sync in terms of the strategy and planning and the targeting. And they're also a lot more likely to be further ahead in their go-to-market maturity model. So pay attention to this. This is something, if you're interested to read up on more about this, we have some great information from many of your peers. And I'm going the wrong way. So let's talk about the steps to sharpen your go-to-market focus. Now, we call this the taming of the alphabet. A lot of three-letter acronyms out there, which I'm sure many of you are tired of, but they're useful to describe processes. ICP is ideal customer or client profile. TAM is total addressable market. And account-based marketing is what you do at the end of that process to prescriptively target the best opportunities. Now, ideal customer profile, we're going to click into here in a second, but that's the first step, is get a definition to understand who are your best customers, because you want to look at the total addressable market, which is essentially the entire universe of all of your best prospects. And then how do you go find more like them? ABM, as I said, is a popular marketing technique today. And if you're not, as a product marketer, directly involved with demand generation teams that are driving account-based marketing, you can also think of this as, once you've defined your ideal customer profile and your TAM, you can also think of it as the launching off point to do things like pricing and packaging strategies, or product launch, or messaging and positioning, all of the core PMM ingredients that come from better segmentation. So let's talk first about ICP. Just confidence level, who here feels like they have a good understanding of their ICP? Okay, a few of you. And by the way, ICP does not need to be company specific. It can be business unit or product line or market specific. And many companies, especially larger, more mature companies, have multiple ICPs. So conceptually, determining your ICP is very simple. The challenge gets into the actual process and accessing the data. So it's a three-step process. First, decide on key performance indicators that determine what best means. ACV, annual contract value, right? How much is a customer worth to you that first year? Customer lifetime value, customer acquisition cost. These are all things that differ for every company. For InsideView, we were very much focused on ACV and time to acquire a customer, like how easy it was at first. And we found out that some of those best, who we thought were our best customers, were emerging tech companies who had just gotten a new round of funding. They churned on the back end. So we were not able to renew and retain them. And so we shifted our focus to be more about lifetime value. So that's step one, determine the key performance indicators. That's different for everyone. Step two is to assess the attributes that you can identify and predict an ICP match. So there variations on this, but in general, there are 4 approaches to attribute assessment. One is firmographic. That's in B2B, things like revenue, number of employees, industry, geography. Demographic, these are the people. In B2C, it's very important, but B2B, I'll come back to this, you also need to understand the performance, or you need to understand the personas that you're selling to. Psychographic is how your prospects are thinking about certain things. Are they early adopters, laggards, et cetera? And then behavioral is what signals can you identify in the market that they're actually doing? And then step 3 is actually analyze your customers by those attributes to come up with your ICP. Now, these are what Inside View used. As I said, we evolved from looking at the customers we were winning the most of to the customers we were retaining and upselling over time. So we looked at firmographic, industry, geolocation, number of sales reps, because that's primarily our value prop was to feed intelligence into the selling process, and then growth rate. How companies that are very focused on growth have a need to really optimize their go-to-market performance. And then some of the behavioral and psychographic ones, we looked at use of competitors' products. We looked at, are they a serial buyer? Did we have a great customer who then went to another company? Can we sell into them? And then we looked at relationships. So it's always good to get in the door to a conversation through a warm introduction. So who do we know that can introduce us? What's their state of marketing technology adoption? And then upsell and cross-sell potential, because as I said, we were very much focused on retention. And then this last one, buyer intent surge. Everyone familiar with buyer intent data? Okay, not too many. So it's a new category of data. There are several vendors like TechTarget and Bombora who will aggregate all of the buying signals from publisher networks on the web. So if you at your company are browsing for a topic, they will recognize your company's IP address, and they will see, like if I work for IBM, there's a certain baseline of people at IBM who are searching for a given topic at any month, and that's considered the baseline. And if that surges over time, like let's say 1 month, all of a sudden it spikes up and everyone's looking for a business analytics solution, that must mean that they're shopping for a business analytics solution. So those buyer intent signals are very useful once you've found your ideal customer profile of prioritizing and figuring out which ones are most likely to buy now. This was our, as I mentioned, Inside View's initial ICP map. So we ended up with 4 segments based on our performance indicators that were most important were renewal rate. That's at the end of a year, how many logos customers actually renewed for Inside View. And then retention, which is upsell, cross-sell, the ability to grow the account value over time. So we had the decliners, which are the ones going down in both categories. We obviously didn't want those. This ended up being our emerging tech companies, who we thought were our best customers. We had our idlers, and then we had reevaluators, but ultimately we wanted to focus on the expanders, where we were increasing our performance on both of those axes. And this gave us a view to be able to make decisions that said, we want to target these segments. And we were able, within the period of a couple of quarters, to figure out that 5 industries, and they were financial services, business consulting services, commercial real estate, were ones that were the best prospects for us. So that's how we did our ICP. And the second step is we wanted to take that ICP profile, and we had a set of customers already, and we wanted to map that against the third-party data of the entire universe to figure out what was our white space, who were the ones who we hadn't touched yet, but they were the best prospects for us. So at first, this was a very manual process. And even Inside View that provides third-party firmographic data for every company out there, this was a very manual process for us. This took us 3 months. We had to ship a lot of data over to our engineering team. And it was a very complex process. At the end of it, we were able to define the industries and applying the other attributes, the right segments for us to go after. But it took a while. So this actually, and the reason it took a while is data silos and manual processes are very hard to deal with. Who here has worked on a segmentation project? A few of you, okay. Typically, you're involved with a data analysis team, and depending on where it started, you might be working with a corporate strategy team. When I was at VMware, every year we did this corporate planning process driven by corporate strategy. We got a lot of IDC external market data. We would create this segmentation and TAM in our in our own little world, but it would sit on a spreadsheet, and it would never make its way down to the revenue teams and sales and marketing who are actually driving revenue execution. So there's a lot of disconnect there in terms of the processes and the organizational silos. And then secondly, just that form factor of having data in spreadsheets. We've talked to customers a lot who say, I'm just sick of VLOOKUPs and pivot tables. And the business impact is profound. A lot of it is really focused on revenue growth. And this is really what product marketers should be championing. Revenue growth, time to market. When you're launching a new offering, how quickly you can get it out sometimes isn't limited by your engineering team. Sometimes it's limited by you identifying the right segments to go after, and then cost and efficiency. So there's a lot of opportunity to improve this with the use of your data to drive segmentations. And this led us, again, not strong infomercial, but this led InsideView to develop our own product. We call InsideView Apex, and we have a great 2-minute video on it if you want to check it out. But it takes the characteristics of your best customers, your ICP, and it very quickly overlays that against the entire market. And it shows you this opportunity of who to go after. And then it lets you further slice and dice and narrow it down and come up with the best segments that you can then turn over to demand gen teams and others in marketing to go after. And it also predicts lookalike customers based on, this is using the AI engine. It's getting a little bit geeky, but it takes attributes and uses machine learning to predict who are the best targets that you want to go after that look like your best customers. The next step is ensure you have people coverage. In B2B, we often focus on accounts, especially nowadays. In InsideView's case, we found that over 2/3 of our ideal targets that we're going out to had 3 different departments engaged. For those of you who have seen CEB data, they say the average number of influencers in a group buying process now in B2B has gone up to like over 10 people. Well, we had 34 average number of people engaged in an account from a buyer. Now, these were large enterprise companies, complex buyers. But as B2B marketers, we have to be aware that there are multiple personas that we are pursuing and understanding the interdependency between your decision maker, your influencers, your champions, et cetera. And when you're developing your targeting strategy, it's important to go out and identify those targets up front as best as you can. And don't forget about the personas. These are InsideView's personas. We target executive teams that are focused on the go-to-market planning and segmentation. We target the revenue team, sales and marketing leaders who are benefiting from their intelligence day to day. And we also target operations teams. Has anyone heard the term revenue ops now? It's a fairly new term, but it's focused on the convergence of sales and marketing operations to ensure that your customer data is high quality, cleansed, that the insights that you have to make better decisions and execute are available to you. So what does success look like? If you've determined your ideal customer profile, you've mapped it against your total addressable market, you have a plan of who are the best segments, who are the best accounts to go after, and even who are the best people, how do you ensure that you're successful with this new go-to-market and segmentation approach? There's really two primary goals. When you're shifting to more of an account-based focus, you're shifting from leads and MQLs, and you're really narrowing the audience, and you're also focusing more on engagement. So did we identify the right names to go after, accounts, people, and are we engaging with them? Are we having conversations? It's not just about email clicks and form fills. It's about, is our sales team having conversations? And then as you get further down the funnel, the financial goals are more focused on things like, are we increasing win rates? We just heard a lot about win-loss. This is a direct strategy to help you improve win rates. Are we increasing our average selling price? And are we going deeper and broadening relationships with the accounts? And there are a number of other metrics. For Inside View, we were also looking at deal acceleration. Can we drive larger, complex deals faster? We're also looking for multi-product and multi-year deals, because that was a key that was correlated to retention. So again, these are going to be different for everyone, but I urge you to have conversations with your executive teams and other stakeholders around what are the right metrics for your organization, and ideally, what are the ones that you want to measure the success of your business today around but can't, and then how do you get there? So just one more slide to summarize 4 steps to sharpen your go-to-market focus. Number 1, determine your ICP. This is most critical. And again, ICP can be plural here. It often is. And then build out your total addressable market. Clone that ICP against the world and find the best fit opportunities that you can help your company go target, and do it on a regular basis. I say below, don't set it and forget it, and we heard that with other presentations this morning. I think that's a key for product marketing is you have to be rapidly iterating, because the market dynamics are changing, the competitive dynamics are changing, your product is changing. So it's important to do these things on a regular basis. Third is, once you've built out your total addressable market and focused on the key accounts to target, ensure you have the right people. You're targeting the right personas. And then finally, determine the right success metrics. Go out and actively measure them and iterate. Don't measure things for the sake of measuring, what are sometimes called vanity metrics. Measure the things that actually improve the business, and don't set it and forget it. And with that, I'm done. If we have a couple questions, I'm happy to take them.
Any questions for Joe?
And we can go into lunch.
Oh yeah, let me bring this over. Thanks. Hi, so you had a slide up that talked about, it was a matrix and it had retention and renewals. Mm-hmm. And I feel like those words are often interchanged to mean the same thing. How do you define those?
Yes, that is a great question. So what's the difference between retention and renewal? I don't know if there's a standard definition. In Inside View's case, renewal was focused on if we have customer, let's say Microsoft is a customer, did we renew them at the end of their contract stage? So it's purely logo renewal. And then retention combines renewal, but really what we mean to say is, did we upsell or cross-sell? Did we increase the account value over time? And you can get into the weeds with, splitting out renewal and retention, like is it dollar value or is it logo? For us, dollar value was more important, but logo was also important, because we didn't want to have a leaky bucket. In any SaaS business, it costs a lot to acquire customers, and the most that you can do to make sure that you're renewing them and retaining and growing the value over time, the better.
Any
Good
other
question.
questions for Joe? Oh, can you wait for me to come up?
I don't think I need it.
Okay.
Can you just explain what backends the Apex platform? Because it looks as though the GUI essentially is providing customer segmentation at a glance in an easy format, and it's taking all the stuff that you talked about and doing a certain amount of it for you by the click of certain buttons. Can you just talk about the data sources that are helping guide that journey and like what it ultimately presents?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question was about how Inside View delivers data to help with Apex, which provides the go-to-market segmentation. So Inside View, and I went through it very quickly at the beginning, but Inside View at its core is a data provider. So we aggregate third-party data sources, financial services information, news, social insights, firmographic data. So think of the world that you target of businesses, and we bring all of that business data into Inside View Apex and our other solutions to map that against your first-party data, whether that's prospects or customers, so that you can the product itself helps you infer your own ICP, and then the data, the third-party data, helps you map it to the market so you can build out your TAM. So happy, again, if there's interest in having a follow-up conversation, I'll be around at lunch and afterwards and happy to talk more about that.
Thank you so much, Joe. Round of applause for Joe.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Quick note.